In this video, I'll be comparing the Ty Beanie Baby Old Face Cranberry Teddy against a counterfeit one. The authentic cranberry teddy is on the right. It's a very deep cranberry color. The one on the left is the counterfeit, and it's very red. But the counterfeit cranberry teddies can come in variation of reds and other type of cranberry colors. The other thing I look at are the facial features of the teddy. On the original, authentic one, the V that comes down to a smaller nose. It's more of a triangle type of a nose, and the eyes are set back into the fabric. On the fake one, the V is a little bit wider, where the eyes are set more out, and the eyes are more of a bug, more buggy looking, and the nose is bigger. When I take a look at the eyes, you can see that on the counterfeit, the eyes are pretty buggy. The other thing I look at as well is I look at the back seams. On the authentic, the seam is a V before, the seam is a V on the back of the neck, and it's attached to the body, versus the counterfeit that has a seam going down where it's attached to the body. The other thing I look at is I look at the hang tags. This is a Korean. This is a very typical Korean tag where the font and the spacing and everything is basically the same. On the counterfeit, some big differences on the counterfeit. First of all, the font is way off. The spacing is way off. And I notice that the holes are very far apart. There's a little bit of dye that has bled through the hole. It's kind of hard to see, but it's there. I notice that the punctuation on the left-hand side where it says a capital LTD, that is pretty prevalent of a counterfeit. On the original authentics, it should be a capital L, a small t, and a small d. The back side of the tags look pretty good. I don't really see any differences on that. The other thing I take a look at is I look at the Tush Tag. This is a Korean Tush Tag. All Old Face Teddies come with a 1993 copyright date, first generation tush. I look at the word handmade, and I see that there's just a little bit of a space between the word hand and made. And I also notice that at the end of Ty ink, it has a period and then a comma. When I look at the counterfeit, I see that the word handmade is all together. The print on here is very dark. And this particular tush tag, counterfeit tush tag, does have the period and the comma. So there's just some slight variation, punctuation variations on this one. The fabric is very plush on the, very rich on the authentic. When I go back and forth, it's very smooth. This counterfeit fabric is also very smooth, but it's more of it's a shorter nap, and it feels almost flannelish. Whereas some of the counterfeits, the fabric is very rough, but this one is very smooth, but obviously the color is way off on that. So to recap on the counterfeits versus the authentic Old Face Cranberry are the colors right away, some of the facial features. The authentic has a thinner V, which comes down to a smaller nose. The eyes are more set in. On the counterfeit, you've got a wider V, which pushes the eyes out. Plus, these eyes are very buggy. It's got a bigger nose. You notice the color variations. On the back of the teddies, on the authentic, you have the V that comes up to the back, on the back of the head, versus a single seam that comes down. On the counterfeit tag, you have the fonts that are in here. It has a 1983 copyright date, which these guys should say 1993 on them. You got the hole punches far apart, a little bit of the dye that has come through, and you have a capital LTD over here, which should not be. It should be a capital L, small t, small d. And then on the tush tags for these, all Old Face Teddies came with a first generation tush tag with a copyright date of 1993.